Hey y'all, welcome back to South Alabama Piper. I'm Lance, your host. How's everybody doing on this Friday evening? It's been storming here all evening, but I think it's finally slacked off a little bit for now anyway. I decided to break out the old Ruins of Windsor from the Country Squire. Hadn't had that in a while, so I put it in my pipe from the Gatlinburg here, and it's good. I tell you what though, I sure am glad it's Friday. It has been a long week. A long, tiring week. But hopefully the weekend will be better. Hope y'all had a great week. I want to get on here and excuse me, do a VR to Uncle Willie over there. He wants to know a time when you've been terrified. When something really scared the bagoodles out of you. I don't know what bagoodle is, but it sounds good anyway. So I'm gonna tell y'all a story. And this has probably been, now I can think of times where I've really been scared. But man, this one right here is a time where I really thought I was gonna die. And y'all gonna get a kick out of it at the ending when I tell you what really happened. Or what it was. So, before all my back injuries and stuff, I used to love to go kayak fishing. I used to take my kayak to the river all the time and go fishing. And it's so peaceful. It's quiet. You're by yourself, no noise. I mean, it's just, and you're like this far off the water, you just reach right there and touch the water. It's so nice. And I really love that, love doing that. I still do, I just can't really anymore. But, so I used to try to go out like right at daylight, or a little bit after daylight, real early. Because most of the time the place I went was, which I would take my time and I may fish, a little bit here or there along the way. But the spot that I really like to go to would take me about 45 minutes to paddle out there to it. And of course there'd be some scary things along the way. There's always alligators out there. You always have to look out for them. And so that could scare you a little bit, especially if they snuck up on you and you couldn't see them in time, And there was also bull sharks. Now, when I say the river, I mean it's brackish water, and these bull sharks, we're not too far from the Gulf. So, and bull sharks make their way down through there and they can live in that brackish water. So there's been occasions to where people have actually caught them bull sharks out there in the river. You know, Mobile Bay, them kind of places. And so, that was the main thing. Watch out for going out through there. So, anyway, this particular day, matter of fact, I did see a gator this particular morning. But luckily I saw it in time. It was on up there in front of me a little bit, so I was able to kind of hold back, let him get on across the river out of my way. And so I'm paddling down through there, you know, and I stopped a couple of spots, fished a little bit. And so then I made my way on into a little slough. When you come off the main river, you hang a left right here. There was a bunch of crab beds or something. I don't know exactly what it was right there. Real shallow area, so sometimes I could get out and just stand right there a little bit, you know. But I'd come up there, I'd hang a left. If you hang a left, it goes out, and it'd go on out to Mobile Bay. But when you get right there, after you hang that left and you get right there, there's a little slough. Hang another left, there's a little slough right there. It wasn't very wide. And pretty much you didn't ever see any boats or anything going in there, because it was just, there was a bunch of milfoil and stuff in there. I think I said that right, milfoil. It's like grass, tall grass and stuff in there. And we're talking only where I was actually at and where I go up in there, we're only talking probably not even a foot deep, maybe a couple of feet in places. I mean, you know, in places it may be 4 or 5 feet deep, but most of it was real shallow. So I'd been out there fishing for a little while up in there, and at this one point, this guy and his son, I guess, they'd come through there in a bass boat and come beside me. Of course, they was going real slow. And I'm thinking, where are they going? Because if you go on back in there, there's nowhere else to go. It kind of, I say dead ends, but the water kind of runs. I mean, there's really nowhere to go. It just gets to a bunch of grass and bank area back in there. So I didn't know. I was wondering what in the world they were doing. So in a minute I hear them, they come back and they start coming back out, and they're like, how do we get to Mobile Bay? And I told them, so you got to go that way. Oh, okay. So they took a wrong turn. So I kept on fishing. I caught a few here and there. Well, at this one point, you know, I was sitting in that little slough, and I was facing toward the river there, and I seen this pontoon boat was floating by real slow, you know. And I was thinking they were fishing or doing something or whatever, you know, but they were just kind of putting by. And so I kept watching them, and they went on by, so I kept fishing and all. Well, in a minute, I watched them, and they come back by. It was just a few minutes, and they come back by and went to the main river, the main channel of the river. I see my dog. Sorry. And so I'm thinking, what are they doing? They look like they were looking at something, you know. I started getting a little worried. I'm thinking, gosh, I hope it ain't no gator or nothing out here, you know, because where I was at, I was always looking around for gators and stuff, because that's about places that they'd be hanging out. But in that area I was at, a lot of the area, if it didn't have that old milfoil in there, you could actually see the bottom. That's how shallow it was. So I'm sitting there. I got a little anchor trolley I had on my kayak, you know, and it had me a little. I used like a tomato stake, a long tomato stake for an anchor. That's what I used for an anchor. And I just jabbed it down in there, you know, and it'd hold me right there where I was at. So I had all that out, you know, and sitting there fishing and whatnot. And so I started to get a little worried when I seen them, you know, put back by. It looked like they were looking at something, and so I'm thinking, oh boy, I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, there's only one way in there and one way out. So I'm sitting there fishing, and a couple of minutes went by, and I thought I heard something, like some water, you know, over there somewhere or whatever. And like something stirred up some water or something. So I'm thinking, what was that? I was thinking maybe it was a fish or something jumped. And so I happened to look over there toward my only exit, and all I could see was something barely surfacing the water, and I seen some water ripples. I couldn't see anything else. All I knew was it was big. And when I seen that, things just start running through my mind. Okay, what could this be? I'm in the river. It's not a whale. It's not a shark. Well, it could be a shark, but not that big. Well, in a minute, of course, I'm looking and things are running through my head like, all right, what do I do? What's going on? Maybe to go back, you know, maybe it'll go on the other way, whatever it is. So I'm looking still, trying to see it. Well, then I see another one. I see another one kind of surface a little bit. And all I can tell, it's probably 20 yards from me or so, thereabouts, 20, 25 yards. And so I'm thinking, what is this? You know, and now it's 2 of them. Well, once it kind of, and of course it started coming closer. And so by this point, I'm scrounging my stuff up. I'm like, God, I got to get out of here, you know. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, well, how am I going to get out of here? Because that's the only way out. And whatever that is right there. And so I'm looking over there again, and I can see it's like a grayish, silverish color. I can't for the life of me. By this point, I'm starting to panic. You know, my heart's racing. I don't know what to do. Can't figure out. I have no clue what it could be. And so I'm starting to get in a panic now. But you got to think. I'm only like this far off the water. I mean, you know. So, I mean, the water's just like right here. I can just touch the water, you know. And so I'm like, oh crap. You know, I got to get this, I got to get my line in. I got to do all this, got to get my stuff ready. I got to get out of here. And so once I finally got all my stuff up, I mean, I see it, the ripples of the water start coming toward me. I'm like, oh God, please don't let this be the end. Whatever this is going to get me. It's going to knock me out of this kayak. It's going to eat me, whatever, you know. I'm going to die right here. I'm going to drown or something. Nobody's going to have any idea, because nobody hardly ever comes back up in that little slough right there. Most of the boats, they go on by where that pontoon boat was at. So I'm thinking, I'm going to die right here, and ain't nobody going to have a clue what happened to me or where I'm at. And so I'm in straight up panic mode at this point. So I just get my paddle. I got my stuff. I just start paddling toward it. And all I can see at this point is the mud being stirred up, you know, from the bottom and all this kind of stuff. And as I'm paddling, I look over here, and I can see one of them, whatever it is. All I can see is a bunch of mud and stuff stirred up, but I can see, you know, whatever it is over here, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm just hoping I don't hit it with my paddle, you know, and I'm just paddling as fast as I can to get out. Then I get on up a little bit. There's another one on this side. I mean, I can't go around them because it's, like I said, that slough is pretty narrow. And so I'm really freaking out at this point. And so I finally make it out of the slough. I feel like I'm fixing to have a heart attack. My heart is racing so fast. Scared to death. And so I finally make it out of there. I paddle over there. Well, I see that pontoon boat sitting over there. So I'm paddling out of there, paddle, paddle, paddle. By this point, I'm so out of breath, I'm just slap, give out. And so I stop, and I just start drifting. At this point, I'm close enough to the pontoon boat to where I can talk to them. And so it was an older man and his wife, and it looked like his little grandson. We're on that pontoon boat, and I said, hey man, but I was so out of breath, like, hey man, did y'all see something over there? He was like, yeah. And I was like, something big, I mean? He was like, oh yeah. I asked him, I said, he was like, yeah. He was like, one of them was about as long as your kayak. My kayak's, I think 12 foot. I said, man, what was that? I said, I'm scared to death. What was that? He's like, man, that was manatees. I said, oh. When he said that, it was just total relief. Manatees. That never crossed my mind at that point. I knew there was manatees around because there's always signs that says report, you know, any manatee sightings and all that kind of stuff. But y'all, I'm going to tell you what, it was just a sigh of relief when I found out that's what that was. And it makes sense now because they were coming in there where all that milfoil and stuff was, eating all that stuff. But you got to think, me being that close on the water, I'm not up high, so I can't see, you know, I'm almost level with the water, you know, especially looking out that way. So I'm not up where I can see what in the world, man, I'm telling you, I was in straight up panic mode, scared to death. I mean, it had me so scared. That is probably, out of everything that's happened in my life that I can remember, that is probably the scaredest I have ever been. Especially for that amount of time, because I was by myself. Nobody knew where I was. I knew nobody hardly ever come up in there except for that guy in the boat that got lost. And so I didn't know. I thought I was going to die. I'm thinking whatever this is going to knock me out of here. It's going to eat me or whatever, kill me, you know, whatever. I didn't know, Loch Ness Monster, whatever, you know, whatever. I don't know what it is. And so, yeah, it was a big sigh of relief when I found out that it was just manatees. It was, that guy said it was 4 of them. He ended up sending me some pictures of them. I don't think I still have those pictures, or I would show y'all, but yeah, some old sea cows. That's what they call them, sea cows, because they're like a sea cow. They float around. They're big. They won't hurt you. They don't do nothing, you know. So, there's my story. I knew y'all would get a kick out of it. My wife sure did. Oh, man. I kind of got a kick out of it later, once I sat back and thought about it. Like, yeah, you were scared of a sea cow. Well, yeah, because I wasn't high enough to see them. It didn't dawn on me at the time that that's what it was, you know. And I wasn't high enough up to see that's what it was, so I was scared to death. So there's my story. That's what really scared me. That's probably the scariest I've ever been. That was a bad feeling. A bad feeling to be out there by yourself. Nobody knew where I was at. And I sure thought I was going to get knocked out of that kayak. I'm probably real lucky I didn't get knocked out of it, even though they wouldn't have meant to, I'm sure. But I'm real lucky because, I mean, I know I was going over the top of them right there, and it's not very deep. And all I could see was a bunch of mud and stuff being stirred up. So I probably did get lucky. I didn't get bumped and get knocked out of it. But anyway, I sure would have been panicking then. So there's my story for you, Uncle Willie. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Be the reason somebody smiles. We can change the world one act of random kindness at a time. And just remember, faith, family, freedom, and pipe. God bless you.